The aspen leaves were already turning gold when I stood on the deck that morning, steam rising from my coffee into the thin mountain air. Silence. Real silence. The kind you can only find at 9,000 feet, where the only sounds are wind through the pines and the occasional cry of a hawk. I'd waited 37 years for this silence. My father built this cabin with his own hands in 1978, back when you could still buy land in the Colorado Rockies without selling a kidney. 2 bedrooms, a workshop that smelled of sawdust and motor oil, and a deck overlooking a valley so beautiful it made your chest ache. He died here, peacefully, 10 years ago. Left it to me in his will with one instruction written in his shaky handwriting. Don't let anyone take this from you, Bobby. It's not just wood and nails. It's every weekend we spent together. Every lesson I taught you. Keep it in the family, but keep it safe. I thought I understood what he meant then. I was 54, still grinding away at the engineering firm, still married to Patricia, still thinking I had time. Then Patricia left, said she'd met someone who actually had passion, and I realized my father was right. The cabin wasn't just a building. It was the only place I'd ever felt like myself. I retired at 62, took my pension, and moved up here full-time. Spent my days restoring my dad's old tools, reading, hiking. My daughter Emma called every Sunday from Seattle. My son Marcus texted occasionally from Austin. Life was simple. Life was good. Then my nephew Derek called. I was in the workshop, sanding down an old workbench, when my phone buzzed. I almost didn't answer. Unknown numbers usually meant spam. But something made me pick up. Uncle Bob? I recognized the voice immediately, even though I hadn't heard it in maybe 3 years. Derek, my younger brother Michael's son. Michael died of a heart attack at 52, and his wife Linda remarried within a year, moved to Florida. Derek had been 25 then, already drifting, already burning through the small inheritance his father left him. Derek, I said, keeping my voice neutral. It's been a while. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that, Uncle Bob. I've been meaning to reach out. His voice had that smooth quality I remembered, the one that made you want to trust him even when you shouldn't. How are you? How's the cabin? I'm fine. Cabin's fine. What do you need, Derek? A pause. Can't I just call to check on my uncle? You could, but you're not. He laughed. That easy laugh that Linda always said reminded her of Michael. It didn't. Michael's laugh was genuine. Derek's was calculated. Okay, you got me. Look, I'm calling because I'm working on something big, really big. Tech startup, AI-driven analytics for small businesses. We're about to close our Series A funding, but we need to show the investors we have skin in the game. Collateral, you know? I don't know anything about startups, Derek. That's okay. That's okay. Point is, I need to show I have assets. Real assets. And I was thinking about the cabin, Grandpa's place. My hand tightened on the phone. What about it? I was thinking you could put it up as collateral, just temporarily, just to show the investors we're serious. We close the funding in 6 weeks, everything gets released, and you never hear about it again. I'll even cut you in on the company, give you equity. This thing is going to explode, Uncle Bob. We're talking millions. I set down my sandpaper very carefully. You want me to risk my father's cabin on your startup? It's not a risk. That's what I'm telling you. The investors are already committed. This is just a formality. And it's not just your cabin, Uncle Bob. It was my dad's cabin too. Grandpa built it for the family. There it was, the guilt angle. He'd learned that from Linda. Your father never spent a night here after he turned 18, I said quietly. Said the mountains made him feel small. This cabin was mine and Dad's. He left it to me, because I was a kid when he died. You think if Dad had lived, if he'd been able to talk to Grandpa, things would have been different? This is my inheritance too, Uncle Bob, and I'm not asking you to give it to me, just to help me out. Family helps family. I'll think about it, I said, and hung up. I didn't think about it. I tried to forget about it. I went back to my workbench, back to my routine. But Derek didn't forget. He called again 2 days later. Uncle Bob, did you think about what I said? I did. The answer's no. No? He sounded genuinely surprised. Uncle Bob, this is $100 million opportunity. Do you understand what kind of return we're talking about? I understand you want to gamble with my property. It's not gambling. Jesus. Uncle Bob, when did you become so paranoid? These are professional investors. Goldman Sachs guys. They just need to see commitment. Then commit your own property. I don't have property. I've been building this company, not buying real estate. That's why I need family to step up. That's what Grandpa would have wanted. Don't tell me what my father would have wanted. Fine, fine. Look, can we at least meet? Can I come up there, show you the pitch deck, let you meet the team? Then you can make an informed decision. Derek, I said no. Just think about it, please. I'm sending you some information. Just look at it. He hung up before I could refuse. The email arrived an hour later. Rapid Scale Analytics. Series A Investment Opportunity. I deleted it without opening it. He called again the next morning, then the next evening, then twice the following day. Each time, his tone shifted slightly. Less smooth, more urgent, more desperate. Uncle Bob, I'm running out of time here. The investors are getting nervous. They need to see the collateral paperwork by Friday. That's not my problem, Derek. It is your problem. This affects the whole family. If this company takes off, everyone benefits. Emma, Marcus, even you. You could retire in style instead of hiding in the mountains like some hermit. I am retired. And I'm not hiding. You're wasting your life up there. Dad died at 52. You're 64. How much time do you think you have left? Don't you want to do something meaningful? That one stung. He knew it would. Goodbye, Derek. Wait. I'm sorry. That was out of line. I'm just stressed. Look, what if I come up there? Let me explain in person. Give me 1 hour. If you still say no after that, I'll never bring it up again. Against my better judgment, I said. 1 hour. Saturday at noon. And Derek, don't bring anyone with you. Of course not. Thank you, Uncle Bob. You won't regret this. But I already did. Saturday morning. I was up early. Couldn't sleep. I made coffee, sat on the deck, watched the sun come up over the mountains. Part of me hoped Derek wouldn't show. Part of me knew he would. At 11:45, I heard a car coming up the access road. Then another. Then a third. 3 vehicles. A Tesla Model S, a BMW X7, and a Range Rover. I walked to the front of the cabin, watched them park. Derek got out of the Tesla, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my truck. 2 men emerged from the BMW, both in their 40s, both radiating that particular energy of people who think money makes them important. A woman and another man stepped out of the Range Rover, similarly dressed. Derek's face split into a grin. Uncle Bob, hey. Sorry, I know I said I'd come alone, but the investors wanted to see the property themselves. You know how it is. Due diligence. I told you not to bring anyone. I know. But this is good news. They're ready to move forward. We can close everything today. I've got the paperwork in the car. One of the men from the BMW stepped forward, hand extended. Robert Chen? I'm Blake Morrison, managing partner at Morrison Capital. Beautiful property you have here. Really beautiful. I didn't shake his hand. I didn't agree to any of this. Of course, Blake said smoothly. We're just here to discuss options. Derek's told us so much about this place, about your father building it. That's real American dream stuff right there. We respect that. Do you? Absolutely. That's why we're prepared to make this worth your while. Not just collateral, a full investment opportunity. You become a stakeholder in Rapid Scale. When we exit, you exit. We're talking 7, maybe 8 figures. The woman stepped forward. I'm Jennifer Kwan. I handle the legal side. We've drawn up papers that fully protect your interests. The cabin stays in your name. It's just collateral against Derek's personal guarantee. Standard stuff. Derek moved closer, his voice dropping. Uncle Bob, can we talk inside? Just you and me? Say what you need to say here. His expression hardened slightly. Fine. Look, I didn't want to do this, but you're not leaving me a choice. I talked to Emma last week. My stomach dropped. What? Your daughter. She's worried about you, Uncle Bob. Said you've been isolating, not returning her calls as much. She thinks maybe you shouldn't be up here alone. Maybe you need to be closer to family. You called my daughter? She's concerned. And honestly, so am I. You're 64, Uncle Bob. Living alone at 9,000 feet, no neighbors for miles. What if you fall? What if you have a stroke? Who's going to find you? That's none of your concern. It is my concern. We're family. And Emma agrees. She thinks maybe it's time to sell this place, move somewhere more practical. But I told her no. I told her we could keep it in the family if you just work with me on this one thing. The threat was clear. Help him, or he'd convince Emma I wasn't capable of living alone. Blake jumped back in. Robert, I understand this is emotional, but emotion doesn't pay bills. This property is probably worth, what, 400,000? Maybe 5? That's a lot of money sitting here doing nothing. With our deal, you're looking at 10, 20 times that. You could buy a dozen cabins. I don't want a dozen cabins. Then think about your family. Think about Emma. Does she own a home? Could she use a down payment? What about your son? Derek's voice went soft. Marcus is struggling, Uncle Bob. Did you know that? His business failed. He's got debt. Real debt. He didn't want to worry you, but he told me, if this deal goes through, I can help him. I can help both your kids. I looked at Derek. Really looked at him. His suit, his expensive car, his polished investors. And I saw what my father had seen years ago when Derek was just a teenager stealing beer from our cooler. A con artist. Maybe not a good one yet, but a con artist nonetheless. I need to think about this, I said. We need an answer today, Blake said. The window closes at midnight. After that, we move on to other opportunities. Then move on? Derek's face flushed. Uncle Bob, don't be stupid. This is the chance of a lifetime. For you, maybe. Not for me. I want all of you off my property. Now, Jennifer pulled out a folder. At least look at the paperwork. See what you're turning down. I know what I'm turning down. Leave. Blake's friendly demeanor evaporated. You're making a mistake, Robert. A big mistake. Derek's told us about your father. About how he never had anything. Died with just this cabin to his name. Is that what you want? To die alone on this mountain with nothing to show for your life? I want you off my property. They left, eventually. But not before Derek stopped at his car and turned back. This isn't over, Uncle Bob. I'm not going away. This is my inheritance, too. And one way or another, I'm going to get what's owed to me. After they drove off, I went inside and sat at my father's old desk. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, from rage. I opened my laptop and started searching. Rapid scale analytics. The website looked professional enough. Testimonials, a leadership team with stock photos, a blog full of buzzwords. But something felt off. I dug deeper. Found a Reddit thread about a company with a similar name that had been flagged for suspicious activity. Found a Better Business Bureau complaint about aggressive investment tactics. Found a news article about a crypto Ponzi scheme that had used AI startups as a front. Then I found Derek's name. Not connected to Rapid Scale, but to another company. 2 other companies. Both dissolved, both with fraud allegations. I called Emma. Dad, I was just thinking about you. How are you? Did Derek call you? A pause. Derek? No. Why would Derek call me? So he'd lied about that too. No reason. Just wondering if you'd heard from him. I haven't talked to Derek in years, Dad. Not since Uncle Mike's funeral. Why? He's got himself into something. Wanted me involved. I said no. Good. Derek's trouble. Always has been. Mom used to say he had Michael's charm, but none of his character. After we hung up, I sat there thinking. Derek wasn't going to stop. Men like him never did. They pushed until something pushed back harder. I needed help. Real help. I called my old friend Tom Rodriguez. We'd worked together for 20 years before he retired to take a job as a federal investigator, mostly financial crimes. We still got together for fishing twice a year. Bob, how's the mountain man? Tom, I need advice. Off the record. I told him everything. The calls, the visit, the investors, what I'd found online. Tom was quiet for a long moment. Bob, this sounds like a classic affinity fraud setup. They use family connections to get their foot in the door, then pressure and manipulate. Those investors probably aren't real investors at all. They're part of the scam. What kind of scam? Could be anything. Real estate fraud, crypto laundering, identity theft. They get you to sign papers putting up your property, then they take out loans against it, drain the money, and disappear. By the time you realize what happened, the property's gone. Can you look into it? Officially? If you file a complaint, yes. But Bob, these guys are professionals. If they're running a real operation, they're careful. We'd need evidence. What kind of evidence? Recordings, documentation, proof of fraudulent intent. Look, if they contact you again, record everything. Save every email, every text. Don't sign anything. And Bob, be careful. If this is what I think it is, they're not going to take no for an answer. He gave me the number for the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. I called and filed a preliminary report, gave them Derek's name, the company name, everything I knew. The agent I spoke with, Sarah Chen, no relation, said, "We'll look into it, Mr. Chen. But I have to be honest. Without concrete evidence of a crime, our hands are tied. Has anyone threatened you directly? Not in so many words. Then legally, they haven't done anything wrong yet. Asking for money isn't illegal. Pressure tactics are scummy, but not criminal. If they contact you again, record the conversations. Get everything in writing, and absolutely do not sign anything." I hung up feeling helpless. I'd spent my whole career solving problems with math and engineering. This was different. This required proof, documentation, playing the long game. Derek called that night. "Uncle Bob, I'm sorry about today. The investors came on too strong. Can we start over?" I hit record on my phone. "Derek, I'm not interested. Just hear me out. What if I made this simpler? What if instead of collateral, you just signed a letter of support? Just a letter saying you believe in the company. That's all. The investors would accept that? A letter of support that says what? Just that you've reviewed the business plan and think it has merit. That you're willing to endorse it to your professional network. I haven't reviewed any business plan. I'll send it to you. You can read it tonight. It's solid, Uncle Bob. This is real. I'm not trying to scam you. Then why do you need my cabin? I told you, it's about showing commitment. Look, forget the cabin for now. Just sign the letter. If the funding comes through like I know it will, I'll cut you a check for $50,000. Just for the letter. How's that sound? It sounds like you're trying to buy my endorsement. I'm trying to thank you for believing in family. That's all this is. Family helping family. I let him talk for another 10 minutes, recorded all of it. His increasingly desperate promises, his veiled threats about Emma, his suggestions that I wasn't thinking clearly because of my isolation. When he finally ran out of steam, I said, "Derek, I'm not signing anything. I'm not endorsing anything. And if you contact Emma or Marcus or anyone else in this family with your schemes, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what you're doing." What I'm doing? I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to make something of myself instead of hiding on a mountain waiting to die. Goodbye, Derek. This is a mistake, Uncle Bob. You're going to regret this. I sent the recording to Agent Chen. For 3 days, nothing happened. I started to think maybe it was over. Maybe Derek had moved on to easier targets. Then my neighbor called. Pete lived 5 miles down the road, ran a small ranch. We checked on each other's properties when one of us was away. "Bob, there's been a couple guys in a black SUV driving past your place. Saw them twice yesterday, once this morning. They slow down at your gate, sit there for a minute, then drive on. You expecting visitors?" "No." "Did you get a plate number?" "Didn't think to." "Want me to call the sheriff?" "Not yet. Just keep an eye out. If you see them again, get the plate and call me immediately." I spent that afternoon installing security cameras, 4 of them, covering every approach to the cabin, motion-activated, cloud storage. If anyone came onto my property, I'd know about it. The cameras caught them that night. 2 men, both wearing dark clothes, approaching the cabin at 2 a.m. They didn't try to break in. They just walked around, looked in windows, tested the doors. One of them pulled out his phone and took pictures. I called the sheriff in the morning, showed him the footage. He filed a report but was honest about the limitations. They're on your property, but they didn't damage anything or try to force entry. It's trespassing, but unless you can identify them, there's not much I can do. You want me to increase patrols up here? Please. Agent Chen called that afternoon. Mr. Chen, we've been investigating rapid-scale analytics. It's a shell company. No real business operations, no actual investors. The people who visited your property, we've identified 2 of them. Both have records for fraud. One did time for a real estate scheme in Arizona. What about Derek? Your nephew is what we call a recruiter. He finds marks, usually family members or friends, people who trust him, gets them to sign over assets or co-sign loans. The people behind the operation drain the accounts, disappear. Derek gets a cut and moves on to the next victim. Can you arrest him? Not yet. He hasn't actually completed a crime, just attempted one. But Mr. Chen, I want to propose something. Would you be willing to help us catch them? How? Tell Derek you've changed your mind. You want to move forward. We'll wire your cabin, record everything. When they show up with the paperwork, when they start the actual fraud process, we can move in. It's risky, but it would give us everything we need to prosecute. I thought about my father, about what he'd say. He'd spent his life building things, not tearing them down. But he'd also taught me that sometimes you have to fight to protect what matters. I'll do it. Agent Chen walked me through everything. The cabin would be wired with audio and video. I'd wear a recording device. Federal agents would be positioned in the woods around the property. When Derek and his associates showed up, when they started the fraud process, the agents would move in. The key is getting them to explicitly state their intent, Agent Chen explained. We need them to say they're going to use the property fraudulently. We need them to acknowledge they're running a scam. Can you get them to do that? I think so. Derek's arrogant. When he thinks he's won, he talks too much. I called Derek that evening. Uncle Bob? He sounded surprised. I've been thinking about what you said. About family, about opportunities, and maybe I've been too rigid, too stuck in the past. Emma called me yesterday, said she thinks I should take more risks, enjoy my retirement. A lie. But Derek didn't know that. She did? She did. So here's what I'm thinking. Come up to the cabin this Saturday. Bring your investors. Bring the paperwork. Let's make this happen. Silence. Then, cautiously, you're serious? I'm serious. But Derek, I have conditions. I want to understand exactly what I'm signing. I want time to read everything. And I want a real guarantee that if this goes south, the cabin stays mine. Of course. Absolutely. Uncle Bob, you won't regret this. This is going to change everything. Saturday at noon? We'll be there. And Uncle Bob? Thank you. Grandpa would be proud. I doubted that. Saturday morning was clear and cold. The aspen trees were in full gold now, brilliant against the dark pines. I stood on the deck drinking coffee, watching the woods. Somewhere out there, Agent Chen and her team were hidden, waiting. The tech crew had left at dawn after spending the night setting up equipment. The cabin looked exactly the same, but every word spoken inside would be recorded, every movement captured on camera. At noon, I heard engines. 4 vehicles this time. Derek's Tesla, the BMW, the Range Rover, and a black Escalade I hadn't seen before. Derek bounded up the steps, arms spread wide. Uncle Bob, man, you look great. Mountain Air's treating you well. Derek. Blake Morrison climbed out of the BMW, followed by Jennifer Kwan and the others. A new face emerged from the Escalade, a man in his 60s with silver hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Robert, I'd like you to meet Marcus Delacroix, Blake said. He's our senior partner, flew in from New York just for this. Delacroix extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm, practiced. Mr. Chen, Derek has told me so much about you. And about this magnificent property. Your father built this? He did. A craftsman. You can see the care in every detail. Please, shall we go inside? We have a lot to discuss. They filed in, spreading out in my living room. Jennifer opened a briefcase, pulled out stacks of paper. Derek couldn't stop smiling. So, Delacroix said, settling into my father's favorite chair. Let's talk about your future. Derek's told you about Rapid Scale, yes? The AI analytics platform? He's mentioned it. It's revolutionary, truly. But every revolution needs capital. That's where you come in. By providing collateral for Derek's investment, you're not just helping family, you're positioning yourself for significant returns. What kind of returns? Conservative estimates? 5 to 1 within 18 months. Aggressive? 20 to 1. We're talking about turning your property equity into millions. Jennifer pushed papers across the coffee table. This is the collateral agreement. It's very straightforward. You maintain ownership. We simply file a lien that releases once Derek's investment is repaid by the company. I picked up the papers, started reading. The language was dense, filled with legal jargon, but I'd spent enough time reviewing contracts to spot the problems. Buried in Section 12 was a clause allowing the lien holder to exercise all ownership rights in the event of default. Section 18 defined default so broadly it could mean almost anything. This says you can take the property if Derek misses a payment. Standard protection clause, Jennifer said smoothly. It'll never be invoked. Derek's investment is secured by the company. What company? I looked up Rapid Scale. There's nothing there. No office, no employees, no actual business. The room went quiet. Derek's smile faltered. Blake laughed. Of course there's no public presence yet. We're pre-launch, stealth mode. You think Apple announced the iPhone before it was ready? I think real companies have real people, real offices, real products. Delacroix leaned forward. Mr. Chen, I understand your skepticism. In your position, I'd be skeptical too. So let me be frank. This is a high-risk, high-reward opportunity. Yes, there's a chance Derek's investment doesn't pan out. Yes, there's a chance you'd need to cover the lien. But there's also a chance you make more money than you'd ever make sitting in this cabin collecting dust. And if I say no? Derek's voice went hard. Then you're on your own, Uncle Bob. No family support, no help when you need it. Emma's already worried about you. What happens when she decides you can't take care of yourself anymore? When she starts looking at assisted living facilities? You think this cabin will still be yours then? There it was. The real threat. Are you threatening me, Derek? I'm stating facts. You're 64, alone, living in the middle of nowhere. One fall, one health crisis, and Emma has power of attorney. She sells this place, puts you in a home. Is that what you want? I stood up. I want all of you to leave. Bob, don't be stupid, Blake said, his friendly mask gone. You sign these papers, or we make your life very difficult. We have friends in the county assessor's office. Suddenly, your property tax triples. We have friends in code enforcement. Suddenly, this cabin has violations. We can make you wish you'd cooperated. That sounds like extortion. That sounds like reality, Delacroix said coldly. You're an old man alone on a mountain. We're professionals with resources. How do you think this ends? I looked at Derek. My nephew, my brother's son. How did you become this, Derek? Your father was a good man. My father died broke. He died working for people like you, people who played it safe, never took risks. I'm not making that mistake. I'm taking what I'm owed. You're not owed anything. The hell I'm not. This cabin should have been half my dad's, half mine. You stole my inheritance, and now I'm just taking it back. Jennifer stood. Mr. Chen, we need your signature. Today. If you refuse, we'll file a lien anyway. Claim Derek had verbal authorization. It'll tie up your property in court for years. Even if you win, the legal fees will bankrupt you. I walked to the door, opened it. Get out. They didn't move. I said get out. Delacroix smiled. Or what? You'll call the sheriff? We'll be gone before he arrives. And then what? We file the fraudulent lien tonight. By Monday morning, you won't be able to sell, refinance, or do anything with this property. You'll be stuck here, alone, waiting for Emma to decide you're incompetent. Actually, Agent Chen said, stepping through the door with 6 other agents behind her. You won't be filing anything. FBI. All of you. Hands where I can see them. The room exploded into motion. Blake lunged for the back door. Two agents tackled him. Jennifer dropped her briefcase, papers scattering. Derek just stood there, frozen, his face draining of color. Marcus Delacroix, Agent Chen said, pulling out handcuffs. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, attempted extortion, and about 15 other charges we'll explain at the field office. They read him his rights. Did the same for Blake, Jennifer, and the others. Derek backed against the wall, hands up. Uncle Bob. I didn't. I wasn't. Derek Chen, another agent said, you're under arrest as an accessory to fraud. You have the right to remain silent. Uncle Bob, please. Tell them I didn't know. Tell them. I said nothing. Just watched as they cuffed him, led him out. Agent Chen stayed behind, reviewing the recordings on her laptop. We got everything. The threats, the fraudulent lien plan. Delacroix admitting they've done this before. This is enough to put them all away for a long time. What happens to Derek? Depends on how cooperative he is. If he testifies against the others, he might get a reduced sentence. But Mr. Chen, he knew what he was doing. He targeted you specifically because you're family, because he thought you'd be vulnerable. That's not ignorance. That's malice. After they left, after the cars were towed and the cabin was mine again, I stood on the deck and watched the sun set behind the mountains. The aspen leaves glowed like fire in the fading light. My phone buzzed. Emma. Dad, are you okay? The FBI just called me. They said Derek tried to scam you? I'm okay, honey. It's handled. Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped? I didn't want to worry you. And I wasn't sure what was happening until the end. Dad, you need to tell me these things. I know you like your independence, but you're not alone. You have family. I know. I'm sorry. We talked for an hour. She made me promise to call more often, to let her know if anything like this ever happened again. I promised. After we hung up, I sat there thinking about what Derek had said, about my father dying with nothing but this cabin, about me dying alone on this mountain. He was wrong. My father didn't die with nothing. He died with a life well lived, a cabin built with his own hands, and a son who loved him. And when I die, whether it's tomorrow or 30 years from now, I'll die in the place I love most, surrounded by mountains and memories and the quiet my father taught me to appreciate. That's not nothing. That's everything. The trial happened 8 months later. I testified about the phone calls, the visits, the threats. Derek sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, refusing to look at me. Delacroix got 12 years. Blake and Jennifer got 8 each. The others, lesser sentences. Derek got 5 years, reduced to 3 with time served and good behavior. His lawyer argued he was manipulated by Delacroix, that he was more victim than criminal. The judge didn't buy it entirely, but gave him some credit for his eventual cooperation. Before they took him away, Derek asked to speak to me. The prosecutor said I didn't have to, but I agreed. We sat in a small room at the courthouse, a guard standing by the door. I'm sorry, Derek said. He looked different, smaller, older. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I'm sorry. Why'd you do it, Derek? I don't know. At first, I really thought Rapid Scale was real. Delacroix was so convincing. By the time I realized it was a scam, I was already in too deep. And part of me, the part that's been angry since Dad died, that part just wanted to take something from someone who had something I didn't. Your father loved you, Derek. He would have wanted better for you. I know. His voice cracked. I know, and I'm going to be better. I have 3 years to figure out who I want to be. Maybe I'll be the person Dad wanted me to be. Maybe. I left without saying goodbye. That was 2 years ago. Derek writes sometimes, letters from prison. He's taking classes, getting clean, working in the prison library. His letters are different now. Honest, reflective. I write back occasionally. Short notes, nothing deep. I haven't forgiven him. I'm not sure I can. But I haven't completely closed the door either. Emma comes up to visit twice a year now. Brings her husband and my granddaughter. Marcus came last summer with his girlfriend. We hiked, fished, sat on the deck watching the aspens turn gold. This place is special, Dad, Marcus said one evening. I get why you love it. Your grandfather loved it first. I'm just the caretaker. No, you're more than that. You're the one who kept it safe, Who made sure it stayed in the family? I'm 66 now. Still wake up early, still drink my coffee on the deck, still work in the workshop on projects that don't matter to anyone but me. The silence is still here. The mountains are still here. And so am I. My father's instruction echoes sometimes when I'm alone. Don't let anyone take this from you, Bobby. I didn't, Dad. I didn't.